All right. Thanks for joining, folks. As you know, I'm Steve from Canadian Assistive Technology, and today we have Mike Hazelwood from SensePilot joining us to talk all about SensePilot and what it can do. So I am going to step out of the way and let Mike do his magic here. Go to it,
Thanks.
Mike.
Well, great to be here. And yeah, thank you. So, what SensePilot is a webcam-based head mouse, but it also captures facial gestures. So, we pick up lots of different facial gestures that you can then map or bind to different keyboard clicks and mouse presses. So, it's probably good to share screen. Oh, need to send a request, Steve.
Oh, yep. Okay, should be good now.
There we go. I share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can all see this now. So the way this is working, I've talked a little bit about my setup, is I've got a fairly low-end gaming laptop here. SensePilot's being powered by the camera internal to my computer, so the one that's built into the laptop. And then in the Zoom call, I'm using an external webcam so you can still see what I'm doing to control SensePilot. So this page here is a camera feed, so you can kind of see as I start moving my face around, all of these different sliders start moving. So this is kind of giving an idea of what SensePilot is picking up in real time. So it's picking up, different things. We built this page as an assessment tool, so you can, ask someone, "Can you smile for me?" And you see this down here. Can you pucker your mouth? Can you blink for me? And seeing what sort of interactions happen. It's also useful to kind of identify here any differences in the individual biomechanics of their face. So, are there any other secondary interactions that happen when they try to do an action? So, my own face, when I close my left eye, you'll see blink left is coming up, but also I'm lowering an eyebrow and my right eyebrow is coming up as well. And then conversely, on the other side, when I close my right eye, see here, my mouth moves to the right. So just understanding that, there may be some secondary interactions, but there are ways around those by setting trigger strengths or different hold times for those actions. If I jump into cursor control now, so if I turn that on, you'll start seeing as I move my head around, cursor moves on the screen. So I've got it set to sensitivities 10 and 10, horizontal and vertical. I've got it set to its most reactive setting. So kind of a level 1, and you can turn the speed of that down a bit. So it'll ignore some base movement. So it just kind of makes things a little bit smoother. So it ignores some minor tremors. We also have the option here to turn off head tracking in a certain plane. So if I set the vertical to off, now see as I move my head up and down, it's staying locked in the horizontal plane. So only moving to left and right. And the idea of this is so for some individuals who, for up and down movement, might be quite difficult, you can bind facial expressions to move the cursor up and down. So I'll give smile as an example. So I'm mapping up right now. So I map it to smile. Now when I smile, the cursor moves up automatically on the screen for as long as I'm holding that. So the gesture size is determined by these numbers here. So I've got it set to a level 10 presently. So when it hits that level 10, that threshold, that's when the cursor will begin to move. And then you can drop that down so, a smaller facial expression is needed. And then map out all of the different directions as needed. And then change the speed at which the cursor moves on the screen. There's also a movement mode of toggle. So if I set the toggle to on, now when I smile, the cursor will begin moving all on its own until I smile again, and then I can stop it when the cursor's reached to where I need to get to. So if we switch those back to off, and I'll turn on the regular head tracking again. If we come over to mouse binding, you'll see on this page here, we've got a few different interactions. One of these keyboard actions here. So this is if you want to perform a left click with a switch press or even a press on a keyboard. So just to give an example, click on this button here and you press on the switch. I haven't got a switch, but I'll use my keyboard here. So if I press the P button, I've now mapped out every time I press P to a left click. So I can scroll through all the menu and then click that way. We've also included the ability to click by facial expressions. So if I set it to pucker mouth, so that's kind of like a hiss. So it'll happen, a click will happen when I hit level 13. And then I can also set, to prevent any accidental clicks, I can set it to only perform a click if I hold that facial expression for a determined amount of time. We have 3 different clicking modes. So single click is similar to like pressing on a mouse, clicking on and off at once. So even if you hold your face in the same position, it will only click once. Click and hold, which what this does is it'll hold click down for duration of that facial gesture. So if you kind of come to drag and drop something, say I want to move this, I can move that over there, and then drag it back over to where I need to go. So I'll jump screen. There we go. So you can then go through and map out how you want to right click using facial expressions or a switch press again. The third clicking motion is a toggle. So you can essentially do that facial action once. It'll click and hold for you until you repeat that action. And that's done. We have an option here to pause the cursor. So what this does, if I've got it set to smile now, if I smile, it switches everything off temporarily until you smile again, and then you can regain control. So the idea of this is if you're, you don't want to control your device at that time. If you're watching a video, you don't want the cursor zipping about the screen, or if somebody's come to talk to you, or just don't need that control, you can just temporarily pause everything, switch every other interaction off until you smile, and bring that back again. There's also the ability to recenter the cursor. So if you see that the mouse cursor is at the top left of the screen, and I smile, it'll snap back to the center of the display. So it's kind of like an on-the-fly recalibration. So if you just need to kind of get to one of the bottom reaches the display, you can find that as well. And then we have scrolling interaction as well. So if I scroll up by smiling, scroll down by raising my right eyebrow, then go and launch my browser. Then I can go through, click on the news, go to the weather, find out what the weather's going to be. Not great here in London, apparently. So now when I raise my eyebrow, scroll down on the page, smile to come back up, and then click on and see everything that we've got kind of coming up at the moment. So that's the mouse biting. Another way to click is well clicking. So switch that to on. A left click will be performed kind of repeatedly when the mouse cursor comes to a pause over something. So you can set the time for how long that happens. So if I hover, you'll see a timer indicator appearing. So essentially when that circle completes, it's performing a left click. To get to alternate clicking modes, we have an overlay that I've got currently set to the right of the screen. When my mouse comes over to the right, I can then go through to left click and hold, double click, or right click. So essentially when I now come to right click, and then I go and select something that I want to right click on, it'll right click and launch something automatically for me. So you've got the ability to move this, the position of this as well, to the bottom of the screen or left. So you can kind of have that overlay appearing wherever you'd like on display. There's also the option here to temporarily pause so that clicks are no longer being performed. So you'll see that visual time is now gone. So it's not waiting for me to hover to click anymore. And then you can come back, and then the clicking will resume. So the next thing we do is keyboard binding. So what you've got here is the ability to map out different keyboard presses to facial gestures. So you can use either the physical keyboard or either of the inbuilt Windows keys. So if I go and map out escape, come out of there, and I hit save, I've now mapped the escape key, and we have the opportunity to have a binding here as well. So if you kind of do that facial gesture once, you can relax your face and it will continue pressing that key for you. If I set that to open mouth, and obviously I've mapped out the escape key, so I don't want that to happen accidentally. So I'll now have to open my mouth above this threshold for 1 second before it will press that keyboard press for me. And then you can go and map out to any of the controls you want. You can map multiple facial gestures to keyboard presses, so you can kind of do shortcuts like copy paste, so Control C, Control V, and any other configurations, all to the same facial gesture. Certainly, we've had some people within a game context of doing, W to move the character forwards to a smile, to a small smile, and then they're able to map a shift or something to make the character sprint to a bigger smile, so that kind of when they do that, the character will begin sprinting, so they can control the speed of within the game as well. We've got game modes, which what this does is it causes the cursor to continually move. So the blue bar represents my head movement in both horizontal and vertical plane. When your head hits this angle, the cursor begins to move on its own. And you can change the angles to wherever meets your ability, basically. So you can kind of have a really small set, or if you've got more movement on one side, you can move those accordingly. We've actually got a test build at the moment that works on head tilt, so kind of a rotation like this. So if that left and right movement is difficult, you can still control a game or operate the device that way. What this can also help with is for individuals with kind of more significant tremors, you can essentially create a dead zone. So nothing happens to my cursor within this zone till I make a definitive move out of it, and then cursor will begin moving in that direction. And then you can change the speed of which that happens as well with the mouse cursor speed settings here. So we'll switch that off for now, and then turn our head tracking back on. So the next thing to show is profile. So you'll see here, this is my active profile. So this is the one I'm currently using to set up SensePilot or to access my device. And then up the top here is the profile that I'm editing. So if I go and check out Minecraft, you'll see I've kind of mapped out a few previous bindings. So I've got E to open the inventory, W to move the character forwards, and that's set to toggle as well. So with profile, you can add as many as you want. You've got the ability to save them. So some occupational therapists were asking us, could they essentially keep copies of settings that they'd made during an assessment, and would they be able to kind of upload them and reset them accordingly. So you can now save them and then upload specific profile. We've also got this overlay that just helps to remind you what you've got mapped at any one time on a specific profile. So you can, see I've got left click set to pucker mouth, I've got scrolling set to smile, scroll down set to raising my eyebrow, escape set to opening mouth, just as a bit of a on-screen reminder of what you've got bound. And you can also move this wherever you want on the screen, and then hide it in this window here. So switching between profiles, it all goes sequentially. So we let you swap between 3 profiles, but one of them is always that desktop profile. That's the one that will always be live when you open up the app. And then you can choose from 2 more. So the idea is you'll have different profiles for different games, but also some games will have different control characteristics for within the game. So, walking versus riding a horse or driving a car will have different interactions. So if I set a different profile here, you'll see I've got it set to rolling my lips inside with this. But I've got it on a hold time because I don't want to accidentally swap between profiles. So now when I roll my lips inside for 1 second, you should see a little green pop up down the bottom, telling me my Minecraft profile is now active. And again, swap to my Tony Hawk profile. You can kind of have a variety of different profiles for whatever you want to set up. So with the Tony Hawk one, I've got kind of a few different facial expressions set, but I haven't got head tracking on as an example, because the game doesn't rely on the mouse input. So if I come back, I'm in my desktop one, just reset this one to nothing. So I'll only swap between these 2 profiles for now. So if we go and launch a game, if it loads, there we go. So I'm still in my desktop profile, so you kind of see what that game mode does. So as I look left and right, and I come back to my neutral position, still looking in the same place. So if I swap my Minecraft profile, there we go. Now when I hit the limit that I set, the camera begins to move in that direction. And even if I come back, I'm looking somewhere different now. It's similar to the right, the left. So I've got the W key, which is to move the character forward, set to smile. So that's on a toggle. But now as I smile, walk around, get to where I need to in game. So if we come over to one of these trees here, smile again to stop. And I've got the scroll, which changes the hotbar down the bottom to raising my eyebrow. Find my axe. Left click is bound to puckering my mouth. So smile, go and pick those up. Come over here. I've got the inventory and crafting menu bound, which is pressing E to opening my mouth. Then I can go and craft a few things. So I can make these apparently. I've crafted 3 birch woods. And then I've got right click mapped to, which is to place a block to moving my mouse to the right. Do that. I can build whatever I want and continue doing whatever I want in the game. So there's no limitations on games that can be played really. Kind of the limiting factors, the computer itself. So if I smart stop, and when I've had enough, swap back to my desktop profile, and just earlier where I mapped out the escape key to opening my mouth for 1 second. There we go. So I've now hit the escape button. Get out the game and continue doing whatever I want on device. So yeah, things to kind of note. All of this facial recognition is carried out locally on device. So we've done that for a number of reasons. So it's, for data privacy reasons, nothing's being used for retraining purposes. It improves the responsiveness of the tool, so it kind of makes it super responsive with limited lag. It reduces the drain on the CPU as well, so it doesn't use a lot of the computer's processing power. And then if you're an AAC user using this as a tool, you shouldn't be without your voice because you've got internet connectivity. So it's one of the reasons we've elected to kind of do this all locally on device. Other things we have in the works at the moment include voice and speech recognition. So sound and speech recognition. So speech is kind of working off of, you can do these like quick commands of click, shoot, reload, and have those kind of quick words that can create an action in game and be mapped to a keyboard press. So just offering a different control mechanism. And then with sound, what we're working on at the moment is, so if you can make a sound repetitively, so if you think whistling, clicking, humming, if you can make that and train the model locally on the computer 5 to 10 times, you can then bind those to different keyboard presses and different actions. So you can kind of whistle and, you'll be able to control computer and game with those as well. So yeah, that's kind of pretty much everything. Yeah, I guess we can stop sharing. Yeah, did anyone have questions about kind of how we've gone so far? I guess one of the things to point out is currently we only operate on Windows devices. So we started initially when we began working on everything to look at Mac as well, but we decided to focus purely on Windows-based systems at the moment. So yeah, I guess we could talk about the team as well. So we're actually a family-based team. So it's myself and my brother-in-law. He's our CTO. So he's former developer on AEC apps. So with his knowledge of this area is why we chose to go in this. My wife does some software development for us when she can, and their cousin does our social media and marketing. So we're a fairly new company. We've only really incorporated within the last year, so still very, very young in our approach.
So yeah, and anybody who has questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
I'm just curious in general, because you said from like feedback from OTs, like you added certain things. How long did it take you to sort of create the SensePilot, and sort of what processes and feedback did you go through to get to this like sort of finalish product?
Yeah, sure. I guess it kind of go back to where this started is May last year. We started in a hackathon of just trying to see what was possible, what could we build in that week, essentially just building a mini company. What would be our approach, see where we can go, and built a rough prototype then with a few different controls. Then began working with a friend who'd had suffered a spinal cord injury. He uses rollable mouse for everyday work, and does a lot of fine work on computer, but it was things like first-person shooter games was finding quite quite challenging. So we were working with him of like, if we can get you gaming or give you a different control mechanism, that lends itself to other things on the computer. So the accuracy and responsiveness that you need for certain games to play competitively kind of correlate really nicely with wider computer use. So we're working on his feedback initially. He was very patient in those early days of testing out crashy software, but got us to a more confident level of where we could go. We then began working with a Ukrainian NGO with individuals who had lost limbs as a result of the war. So trying to learn about how they would use a tool like this, what do they use it for? It was also trying to provision them assistive tech as easily as possible. Where getting hardware systems is quite complex financially and logistically. If we can get connected to the internet, we can get them something that they're able to use and send messages and do other things on computer. So it was kind of based on their feedback as well. We also, at the same time, began working with Special Effects, so a disability gaming charity here in the UK. Just sending them a few ideas and designs. Really, in the early day phase, of like, okay, how do we make this as clear and user friendly as possible? Trying to work on that independent side. So really, only two things ever need switched on for a person to go through and then set the rest of this up for themselves. They also then kind of came in with testing, so testing with a variety of switches, of joystick configurations, just a whole range of things that they've come across as an organization. So what things do they need this to work with? How does it work with lots of different games? What have the people that they've worked with, how do they access? So what other things do we need to incorporate? So it's through their feedback as well. We then in February did our beta test. So probably looking, it was about 80 people in total. So a mixture of occupational therapists and also end users. So people we'd approached, but also people that had just come across us through a few social media posts and a few other searches or recommendations. So people located globally with a range of disabilities. So individuals with spinal cord injuries, cerebral palsy, MS, MND, but then also a few individuals who'd got, suffered with repetitive strain injury or carpal tunnel. So experienced wrist pain even with ergonomic mouse setup. So it was taking their feedback and just seeing, okay, what do you need? Are there any issues you're having? If you can't find these settings that we already have, they're not in the right place. So we need just constantly evolving like that. So one of the things we've got at the moment is people have asked for dark mode. So yeah, should be out within the next couple of weeks. So just taking on all of that feedback and the different pathways. Just essentially building directly off of those. That was probably quite a lengthy story for the question. But yeah, that's ultimately what we're trying to do. Is like the more people that try this, they're experiencing difficulties or problems. Are there things that we can do to help that and support?
Anybody else have questions? All right. I guess you were very comprehensive there. So I am going to post this on our YouTube channel as well. So I know a couple of people came in a little bit late and missed some of the beginning stuff. So once this is done, I'll start getting ready to post it up on YouTube. You can find it on our YouTube channel if you just search for Canadian Assistive Technologies, and it should be up there probably within the hour.
Yeah, and certainly if you want to find out more about us, you can visit our website at sensepilot.tech. And you can also try it out there for 30 days for free. No details are needed, so just kind of get in and have a go and have fun. See what all the different settings do.
And I believe if you're doing evaluations as well, we can probably help get you set up with a longer term license.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If you've got demo devices or evaluations, then yeah, just reach out and we'll get you set up.
Alrighty. I guess that is it. Thanks very much, Mike. Much appreciated. And Jody has just asked, can you share contact information, please?
Yeah, sure. So our website is sensepilot.tech. And then I'll put my email in the chat. It's mike@sensepilot.tech. And then you can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit.
Okie doke. Well, thanks again. And I will close this down.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon, Mike.
All right, take care, Steve.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.